Good morning, everybody. It's Sean with Price and Price Realtors with this week's market report. And it's been a pretty interesting couple weeks. We've seen some up and down in buyer activity. We've seen some increases and decreases in seller activity or inventory. And there's been a general feeling that the market has been softening a little bit. So we're going to go into some in-depth details to see, is the market actually softening? Is it slowing down? What is actually happening? So let's jump to the graphs and we will see what is actually happening in the market. Okay, so this is our buyer activity versus inventory, and you can see over the buyer activity actually took a pretty significant drop a couple weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, and then last week it upticked a little bit, and actual inventory was moving in the same direction. So last week we hit a very, very neutral market, which was right here. That's a good, healthy market when we hit a point where it's balanced seller activity and buyer activity. From there, you can see that buyer activity continued to increase this week. It actually went up an additional 13%. And you can see that seller activity or inventory dropped 21%. So we have that gap that's back again, just like we did all through here, where buyer activity was so much higher than inventory. Well, we're seeing the same thing here. We now have this gap, which means that this last week was a pretty significant seller's market. So you can see in general, buyer activity has been increasing, and then we hit a window here where it was kind of a downtick, but it looks like we might be going back up. Now, why did we hit this downtick? There are several theories for it. One of the theories is, got sun coming in. One of the theories is that with school coming to an end, with everything starting to open back up, buyers were getting more active with getting out into the world. And now things are starting to normalize a little bit, so maybe buyers are getting back into the market again. We really don't know, but the fact of the matter is buyer activity is ticking back up for the last 2 weeks, and inventory is staying pretty steady. It's kind of got an up and down little tick. So we're not in as strong of a seller's market as we were previously, but we are still in a seller's market. So how does this compare to where we were last year? So if we look at last year, first of all, let's look at our average days on the market to see what's happening this year. So you can see in January, we were at this level. And so far, February was our longest average days on the market, and then it's just been a slow downtick. So basically, properties are still moving very quickly. Now we're only halfway through June, but this is the average so far in June. So you can see that properties are still moving very quickly compared to where they were, even in January, February, and March. So properties are jumping on the market, they're coming off the market really, really quickly. The next statistic that's interesting is if we look at this is our average number of sales. Sorry, I forgot what the statistic was. The average number of sales that were happening. So if you look at April of 2020 and we look at April of 2021, you can see there is quite an increase. And May, you've got an increase in May. I mean, look how much busier May was. And then even in June, so this is April, May, June. This is June of 2020, and this is June of 2021, but we're only halfway through. So if you look at this from a numerical perspective, June of last year we did 320 sales. This year we're on track to do 430. So you can see these numbers, and you can see that the market is actually staying really, really active. So basically what this means is that while the market feels like it's softening, maybe there aren't as many buyers going out there and competing for properties, but we're still getting multiple offers on properties. Properties are still going above ask, and it is still a very, very strong market, strong seller's market. There is a little bit of an opportunity for buyers right now to get out there with less competition, but there is still competition. Okay, all right, I hope this makes sense. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll see you on next week's report to see what's going on.